number 23. It is pouring rain right now, and it's gonna be pouring rain all day. You see how windy it is? But I have literally like 6 hours here because I'm here for a layover. But one day in Amsterdam, I am just gonna be roaming around, seeing as much of the city as possible. So let's show you one day in Amsterdam. The city layout is so interesting because you just walk down random alleyways like this one that has restaurants and shops on them. It's so cool because, yeah, it's the formation with the canals and how the city is. It just makes it so different than really any other European city. I mean, I think of cities that have those fun little alleyways in their main areas, like London, but these ones in Amsterdam, they're a little tighter, but they're also like residential as well. And then boom, all of a sudden you walk out of an alleyway and there's a canal. The alleyways are all over. It is awesome. There isn't that much difference between tourist area and residential. It's all blended in together. And it's also really interesting the way the homes are built, because I don't know if these are single family homes or just apartments one on top of the other, but it's like one like massive building. Cool thing about the skyline, as you can see the skyline right behind me, is that there is no skyline. Every building is relatively the same in height, 4 maybe max 5 stories, and they all have an older feel. I'm sure that they were built decades upon decades ago. There are just a few buildings that are above that 5-story limit. A lot of them are churches, and a few of them seem to be like either large office complexes. It looks like they're all smaller buildings because they each have their own unique architecture and design and even color, but they're all attached to each other. So I don't know if it's just one large building that they uniquely designed them, or it's just these buildings are built like side by side and they just happen to be built where they're touching each other, or they purposely did it that way. I don't know. Something that's interesting is it seems like it gets more charming the more you walk outside of the city center. Like, this is incredible where I'm at right now. It doesn't feel like I'm in a major city. It feels like I'm in a small town. It gives such a fun atmosphere. Also, it's colorful too. It's not dull. Speaking of skyline, right behind me is really the only place where you will see it. In fact, the Booking.com headquarters right over there, and this is all right by the Ferry Terminal. But no, when you go into the actual like city center, you don't see any of these tall buildings. It's so cool how the canals are everywhere in the city, not just on the outskirts, but actually in the middle of the city center as well. And there are so many canal boats. You can take a boat to ride on it, and so many tours, so many different companies. It's not just the streets that have their own alleyways. Look, here's a canal right now, and then that right there is its own little passage too. Why in the world were the canals even built in the first place? Well, the first reason has to do with the fact that Amsterdam is below sea level, so flooding is an issue here. So the canals helped manage that water overload, help it drain out. The second reason is the much more obvious reason. It helped with trade way back when, made it so much easier to move goods and services across the city, and as well as exporting them out. The third reason has to do with defense. You know, if they were to get invaded, the canals would make things a little bit more harder. What they do with the canals and having barges on top of them is so cool. We're gonna head over there right now, but you see all those things? Those are barges that are on the canal, but there are shops inside of them. And look, right now, it may just look like I'm on a platform on the sidewalk that has bike racks, but no, I am actually on a boat right now. It's a barge that they use as their bike storage because they all love their bikes so much. So yeah, technically I'm on top of the canal. So they make good use out of it in the present day too, where there's no really true function for like trade. Okay, I'm going now through the row of shops that are literally on barges that are in the canal. And I thought it was just gonna be a little stand, but no, these are incredible stores. They're selling incredible things. Look at these flowers, and they're selling teas. Some of the canals are rather small in width, but some of them are much larger. The canals are everywhere you walk. Right now, look, that's a map of all the canals in the city, but that's just the big ones, not the small ones as well that just, it's like a small passageway. Yeah, these images really show you how it's takes over everywhere. They've also built these little boardwalks that go right on top of the canal where it's like hovering right over it, where the water is technically still underneath you, but it's not like you can walk on the boardwalk. It's for restaurants where they can have outdoor seating. So many different companies that you can take for canal tours. I typically use Stroma, but there are any of them. Just go based off of price and duration. Do like whatever the best dollar amount per hour is, because they're all basically the same. Right over there, pedal boats that you can rent and then take them on the canal. The great thing is that you can walk everywhere, just non-stop walking, just wandering, and not have to worry about where in the world you're going, because every place you walk, you're just gonna stumble across something different. There are no dull areas. Another cool feature is that everything is brick, whether it be the buildings or the sidewalks. This building isn't anything special, it's just a shopping center, but I'm loving the architecture. The street of Darmstadt may be my favorite one here, because even though it's not pedestrian only, it's just restaurant after restaurant. Argentine food, New York pizza, Italian food, all different types just lined up. It's right near the National Monument. The energy and vibrancy on a pouring rainy weekday is still here. People are still walking the streets. You see everyone has their umbrellas. They are not letting it get in their way of having a great day. Sure, a lot of these are tourists, so they gotta take advantage of it, but the locals are still around too. Did you know that Amsterdam started as just a small fishing village in the early 12th century? Well, it quickly grew thanks to its geographic region, ability to trade, and by the 17th century, it was actually one of the wealthiest cities in all of Europe. Yeah, since then, it has remained as one of the strongest areas within Western Europe. And look at it specifically today, at how much it has influence in the fields like investing and banking. Of course, like all great states, it had its setbacks, specifically when it got conquered by Germany in World War II. Yeah, just run through a bunch of fun facts that you all may be interested in. So first is that this city with a population of 900,000 people has 900,000 bicycles. That's crazy, literally one bike per person. It's known as the bike capital of the world, actually. In terms of canals, they make up 100 kilometers of canals if you put them all together. That's 60 miles for my American friends. Museums galore. There are over 50 museums here, including the Anne Frank House and the Van Gogh Museum. Relating back to the canals, there are 2,500 houseboats that are floating on the canals in the city center. I wonder what rent is like for that. If someone knows the answer, please comment that down below, because I don't know, how does rent work for those houseboats? Like, do the houseboats have to pay a tax to the city to have that space, or like, how does that work? Literally all over the city. Another houseboat, another houseboat, another one, another one, another one. The Netherlands as a whole is a huge producer and exporter of cheese. This is just one section of a single supermarket, more right here too. Yeah, to that building now. It looks just like a regular building from here, but it's really cool. It's the Nemo Science Museum, and sure, if you like museums, you like science, go inside of it, but you can actually walk on the path and go up to the roof. So I'm gonna do that now. See what I mean, how we can go to the top? There are stairs. Let's go. I am at the top now. It produces a stunning view. I love it, I love it, I love it. Just looking at the water right here, but then here you can see where the canal starts to go and where the canal is expanding across the sea, and you can see how there are no tall buildings in the city center. And then where is it? Way out there, I assume that's like a business district over there, so that's where the tall buildings begin again. But stunning views, and it's free to completely just walk up this. And they have some picnic benches where there's a cafe inside, because again, this is a museum, but you can go and sit down and have a meal and observe this. Over here is the National Maritime Museum. It's a cool structure right on the water. You see how literally the water literally goes up to touching the building, and you got, I'm sure this boat has some historical significance. Not enough time for me to get there, but way out there to the Gooyer Windmill, which is famous. And also another thing is bikes. Bikes are everywhere. They have specified bike lanes, so if you come here and you want to rent a bike and to literally see everything, that is a great option. They have bike racks everywhere. Like, I walk alongside the street and it is like only bike racks that are next to me. It's absolutely insane how many bikes there are. It seems like every single local is just using their bike to get around. Sure, they have cars too, but when bike lanes are just as wide as the car lanes, it wouldn't make sense not to take your bike. What's even crazier is they don't even lock up their bikes. Like, they have the bike racks and they just place them there. There's no lock, so I guess that shows you they have very little bike stealing crime. If you want to get a true Dutch cultural experience, rent a bike. You can get them for like $10 an hour. What's so great is that these sidewalks are so wide. The streets are so narrow, so it's like the pedestrians own everything. You know, you're in an American city and it's the street for cars to drive on take up like 90% of the space. It is a rather walkable city. You know, not like the most walkable where it's so easy to get from place to place, but you can get around and see everything within like a half hour of each other. And the cool thing is, you would think with the canals that it makes things difficult to get around, but no. And the reason is that there are so many bridges that go over them. It's like every single block there's another bridge. Public transportation is so easy, whether it be the trains, the trams, the buses, or even taxi. I mean, everywhere there is something for you. Just be careful when crossing the street. Don't get hit by the tram like I almost did, actually. Trams go down literally like every single street, and the routes are so efficient. So if you want a quick and easy way to get around, that is the way that you should go. Uh-oh, I just witnessed a car and a tram collide. That's not good. There are all these people on the tram, and then there's another one right behind it that can't move anywhere. Belgian waffles from Belgium are literally one of my favorite foods in the world, if not my single favorite food. So I figure, being in the Netherlands, we're probably close enough where it would be similar. Probably not as good, but similar. Let's try it. Oh my god, this is so good. Not like it's from Belgium, but it's so nice. If you thought the alleyways in the middle of the city are cool, oh my god, the ones that you get towards the outskirts in like the true residential areas are even that much cooler, because there are very few tourists and you start to get some lovely gardens and some trees and plant life that they put around. As you're walking, you just stumble upon random areas that have gardens, literally right in the middle of the city. It adds such a nice touch. I can see why this is such a great place to live. And whoa, let's go down this alleyway now. Hold on. The residential homes are much more narrow. See, in this one shot right now, you can see 4 different ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, and you keep going. 5, 6, 7, 8. Literally every single time it changes colors. And like, that's so cool, because I love how they're all connected, but they're different colors to indicate different building. Again, I have no idea if they were built that way, if it was built as just one giant building, or if they were individual and that they just kept stacking next to each other. Who knows? Right alongside here in this canal, whoa, this is so cool. It's just house posts that are lined up that just go down. What? How crazy is it that people's homes are right here? They look out the window and they look straight to the ground, and it's just water. Even in the alleys that are so small, you still find the incredible things. I just passed a sandwich shop, and there's an ice cream shop as well. And because they're so small, you would never expect that there would actually be anything in them. But there is. This is a cool arch that leads into a park. We got the little park area. I guess it's not really a park, but still cool how we're on the canals again. Hello, pigeon. Behind me is the Royal Palace, and it's actually one of 3 palaces that the monarchy has. Interesting enough, it's only a palace if a parliament designates it as one. Right now, it's currently under construction. Unfortunate, I know, but you can still see its grandeur, its greatness, even with the scaffolding right in front. Oops, I was standing at the back of the palace when I was recording it. All right, here's the front, and still some scaffolding at the top, but no scaffolding on most of the facade, and you can really feel its grandeur here. Also, the engraving into it, that's awesome. Do you have any idea there was a Chinatown here? Right behind me is a Buddhist temple. The Chinatown street stretches down probably a block down this way and a block down that way. Palace, and right behind me is the National Monument of Dam Square, and this represents all of the casualties in World War II and in the armed conflict that the Netherlands has been a part of since. This structure was built in 1956. Right in front of the monument, you have the lion structure, and the lion is actually the national animal of the Netherlands, which is surprising, yeah, because clearly no lions here. The lion has been on the coat of arms of the state since the 16th century. As you would expect, it represents courage, strength, and power. You can see the lion not just here, but in so many different parts of the city and in the country in general, such as ING, and it's in their corporate logo. Right behind me, maybe one of the most historical buildings in the entire city in terms of what it means to contemporary policy, democracy, and the impacts of post-World War II. This is the Anne Frank house. I know most of you are very familiar with the story of Anne Frank, so I'm not going to be getting into it. This is a history lesson, but just to be here in a moment of time to see what the Nazi hate regime was doing, not just in Germany, but expanding into places like Denmark, Poland, and right here, the Netherlands, that it's unbelievable to be here, to know Anne's story, what happened to her, what happened to her family, but not just that, what happened to the 6 million Jewish people, lest we forget. Not exactly sure where in the building she hid, but currently it is a museum. I obviously don't have time to check this out, although I definitely would have. It's a museum. You can only buy tickets online, but yeah, it's something that you need to visit when you are here because of its historical significance and as well as what's been battling in the present day too. As crazy as it sounds, the train station honestly might be my favorite building because it doesn't look like a train station. It honestly like kind of looks like a palace, like just the way it is, the top, and right there when you zoom in, and what is it, the lions with the gold, and it's front and center in front of everything else. Quick stop. This is where I started off again. This is the ferry terminal, and you know, you can catch a ferry, ride a boat, go around the water. These aren't the canals, but it's cool being able to just see everything. There's a massive cruise ship right over there, right over my shoulder. I think it's some sort of Norwegian ship. Fortunately, my very, very short time in Amsterdam has come to an end, but I am so glad I was able to make this work. I had such a great time roaming around the city. I mean, it's unlike any city that I've been to before, just with all of the canals and how much the water is integrated into the city in this unique way. I haven't been to a canal-driven city before. I loved the vibe, even though it was raining the entire day, and that made me soaked, and I'm sure I didn't get to see it as well as I could have with it being fully sunny and everybody fully out and see the full vibrancy, but that's okay. I still got a sense of what Amsterdam is like and what true Dutch culture is like. I'm sure I will be back because this is a major hub for SkyTeam, and SkyTeam is the airline alliance that I prefer. So yeah, I'm sure Amsterdam, I will see you again soon.